during your schooling times in primary school and secondary school, you were not really exposed or come in contact with, say, ideas from China and Taiwan? Or, I mean,
Well,
through the language or through the news?
not really, not in that sense. No, I mean, most of the textbooks were already quite localized. You didn't. We knew. Okay, in our school little library, we ever saw some of these books that were printed in China.
Right.
Yeah, but again, you know, if you're thinking of like highfalutin ideas, no, it's all very basic, right? Flying a kite, going on a bicycle trip, climbing mountains, and all. Us like no mountains around here. Bukit Timah Hill is, yeah. So not really. Now, of course, the other thing which is interesting was that there continued even in our school days, right? We just regarded it as a kind of a prejudice against Chinese schools.
Right.
That the Chinese schools were very militant. They were commies, right? They were very left wing, and so that gave a sort of a negative view about sort of Chinese education, right?
Right. But how did you become aware of these perceptions?
Okay. Well, how do you become aware of these perceptions? Well, you hear what people speak, right? My primary school is right next to Nanyang Girls' School.
Okay.
All right, Nanyang Girls' School. You see them every day because we walk to the bus stop, same bus stop, right? So then you get you hear these things, and you hear the way they talk, and so on, and then later on you know, this is adult talking. Oh, that one, that Chinese school. Oh, yeah, they're all very radical. Oh, they're all, always, 共产党, so there's that kind of a parody. So that creates a sort of a negative approach to these things, and kind of a barrier. I didn't feel that there was that, largely because I actually interacted with a lot of them. Because one of my best friends in primary school, his father was a night watchman at Chinese High.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and we live up where now the present Nanyang Girls' School is. The old Nanyang Girls' School was right where my primary school used to be. That is still there. The Nanyang Primary, what is now Nanyang Primary, that was the whole Nanyang school. The secondary division moved to the old NJC site. Right? And that was where we live. So every day when I walk home, I used to walk home because 1.6 kilometers, not that far, what we would do is I will walk with this friend of mine, and we will stop at his home, right, in the Chinese high school compound, and then that's where I pick up my table tennis skills, because I mean he's the night watchman's son. He can play on any table, I mean, we played basketball. I was very lousy with that. Table tennis was much better, and then all the Chinese high boys know him, right? I mean, so then that's how I interacted with them, and very close to that, I was also in the scouts. I also interacted with the Chinese High Scouts.
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't feel they were that different. Of course, their main lingua franca was in Mandarin, but other than that, I didn't feel any kind of a barrier, lah.
But what did you speak with them?
It would be a mix of English and Mandarin, lah. I mean, my spoken Mandarin isn't bad. It's just I didn't enjoy studying it. I'm quite a good mimic. I can actually pick up fairly quickly. With spoken, it's not hard. It's the written that's a problem, because you need to start very young, actually, so that you ingest the words.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just don't remember. You can't make it up. It's not like English or even Malay. I can make it up because I can read the Romanized version, and the moment I can pronounce the word, I know what it means already. But Mandarin, I can look at it the whole day. I don't know unless I have a dictionary, right? So I communicated with them, fairly well. And then again, Hokkien Hokkien, everybody speaks Hokkien.
Right.
You know, so it was not very difficult. And I found them quite fun, and they thought I was this cute little primary school boy. You know, they're all secondary school, right? So I had these interactions with them. And a neighbor of ours also went to Catholic high school. A little bit different. Catholic high school, they emphasize study of English language quite a lot. So he's very, very bilingual. But you have this exposure, and then you begin to see the stereotypes emerge.
Right.
Yeah. And later on, when I was studying at RI, River Valley High was just down the road, you know. And again, you have these interactions. Yeah.
Okay. It was interesting because I was just interviewing someone who attended Maristella and then Anglican High. So when I asked him about these Chinese school stereotypes as well, he was quite adamant, in fact, slightly angry that, they always paint, Chinese educated people as socialists or whatever.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that is, you see, you mustn't forget, these formative years were early 70s, right? The whole sort of leftist movement in the Chinese schools and all that was 10 years before. It's not that far away. Not like now looking at it, it's like, oh my goodness, how can you think that way? You know, those days it was very much alive. You see, when I was in primary one or in maybe even in kindergarten, I can't remember now. This thing about the communist threat was very real. They were putting up booby traps around Singapore, setting off bombs. There was a boy that was killed not far from our home, and they invariably link them to the sort of the Chinese educated Chinese schools, you see.
Yeah.
So, that's the environment you grew up in. You actually saw these things. I mean, I didn't see the boy get blown up. We heard it's not far. It's really not far from our home. Yeah. Then we worry, right? You say, oh my goodness, so your parents warn you, okay, you see a flag, okay, a red flag with a sickle and a hammer, do not ever go anywhere near there, and so on and so forth, right? Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting because if you got slightly angry, then, there was this sort of perception that everybody who attended Chinese schools were painted with the, same idea that they were all leftists.
Yeah.
It was Maristella and Anglican High.
Exactly.
Actually, my principal was the one who led us to take the exams.
Yeah,
they didn't boycott the exams and so on.
Yeah. But unfortunately, the bad news overwhelms the good, right? So your Zhongzheng High and your and your Chinese High, unfortunately that becomes the big story, Yeah.
How about when you entered university then? How about did you continue these interactions with Chinese educated individuals?
But well, you see, many of my friends I made friends along the way because of Scouts, right? So I made a lot of sort of non-English stream friends because of the ECA I participated in, right? I used to, and I played in the Chinese orchestra, right? I joined the RI Chinese Orchestra, so that was where I was practicing my Chinese. I mean, of course, instruction is in Chinese, right? You don't teach the guy how to play the erhu in English, right? So it's always Mandarin. I continued that, and then through these various ECA sports and all that, you meet people from Chinese schools, and in my generation there were more students in Chinese schools than in the English schools, right? Not by a lot, but still marginally. There's more than 50% that would have gone to Chinese schools. So you meet them everywhere, and to me, okay, these stereotypes are a stereotype, all right, because many of them are just like us. It's just that their first language is in Chinese. In fact, quite often times I kind of envied them. Why? Because I thought if I had gone to a Chinese school, at least my Mandarin would be much better. And English is easy to pick up. It's so easy. And I speak English at home anyway. I would have been much more bilingual. But I'm not, right? So that's life.
Right.
Yeah.
So when did you become aware that, certainly there was this discrimination going on by then, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about late 70s, early 80s, and so on. So discrimination against, say, Chinese educated individuals and so on. Were you aware that these things were going on?
I think, sort of subconsciously you're aware. This was around the time when there was this big discussion about shutting down Nanta. you know, and again the same trope comes up, right? Why are you shutting down Nanta? Oh, you know, they were a whole bunch of communists, they gave the PAP problem and so on and so forth. So that meta narrative had always been there. What I suppose was a little bit different for me was that because I have had sort of on the ground interactions with many of them, I'm like, no lah, these guys communists, not really. I mean, you know, yeah, okay, they have certain views, you know, they extremely patriotic, you know, people, and they can be very militant about certain things, you know, whereas the English educated are a little bit more relaxed, and you know, we take things seriously, but not as seriously as they do. You know, they had this iron discipline that we didn't have. You know, we you know we felt it was situational. Like, you don't have to be so regimental all the time, but you need to be, you be. Otherwise, you know, you don't care, right? But so there are these sort of I think socialized and cultural differences emerging from the different type of education. But as human beings, you're just like us, we're no different one, you know. And ideologically, I think they wanted what we wanted, right? Everybody wanted a better life. Everybody wanted a good paying job. Everybody wanted to go to university. You know, it's not that different. Yeah. So in that sense, I think because I had my own opportunities to interact, I form a much more open view about you know, students in the Chinese stream. Yeah, I didn't feel, it didn't harden in me that, okay, you know, there's a whole bunch of commies or whatever it is. No, I didn't. You know, after all, yeah, I mean, you're scouts. I mean, you know, we sing the same campfire songs, we play the same games. What's the difference? I mean, if you tell me this guy is a communist, I'm like, are you joking? I mean, no, I mean, yeah, you know. Yeah.
So you were in NUS at that time, in the early 80s?
I was in NUS between 1982 and 86.
So you would have met some of the Nanta people, would you?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I met many of them in the army already, right? And army is very easy to tell because you can see the color bar on the name tag.
Right.
I don't know if you know this. In our time, your name tag will tell you what language you speak.
Oh.
Okay? So for us from English schools, it will be green name tag. Okay, green. And then if you can speak Mandarin, they will give you an orange bar.
Okay.
Okay? There are some people got 2 bars. I can't remember the Malay color. I think it's blue. So you some very smart guys, they you know, they are English green and then orange bar plus blue bar. Wow, they're champion. No?